A victory for the Second Amendment came from an unlikely place this week, as an Obama era district court judge in the state of Illinois held that an illegal immigrant had a right to possess a firearm for his own protection. Now, some people in the conservative movement have argued that this is not a victory, that Mr. Flores, who had not committed a violent crime, should not enjoy the protections of the Second Amendment because he is not a citizen. I take issue with this position. Why? Because it undermines the whole foundational argument that our rights come from God and are not gifts from government that they can either grant or take away by decree. Our founders understood that our rights are inalienable, that they are innate, that we have them because we are human, that God gave them to all men, that all men have the right to preserve their life, liberty, and property. Now, it's unfortunate that Mr. Flores is an illegal immigrant. But what I see happening here is supposed advocates for the Second Amendment and for gun rights are now starting to advocate for what could be a slippery slope for more gun control shoved down the rest of our throats because it undermines the foundational argument. Because our rights do not come from government, they do come from God. Now, conservatives would say that, but the same conservatives are arguing that Mr. Flores, who had not committed a violent crime and who had obtained the gun to protect himself during the riots in the spring of 2020 that were related to George Floyd, should Mr. Flores not be allowed to protect himself? He was not a violent criminal. We are a country that values liberty. We are a country that values the right to protect ourselves from enemies who seek to take our lives. And what I see happening here is more gun control potentially being proposed by people that are supposed to advocate for the preservation of the right to protect ourselves. Allow me to read to you what Patrick Henry had to say about the right of every person to be able to own a gun to protect themselves. He said, and I quote, "Guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect everyone who approaches the jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force. Whenever you give up that force, you are ruined. The great object is that every man be armed. Everyone who is able might have a gun." Patrick Henry in a speech ratifying the Constitution of Virginia in 1778. My friends, I don't want to see the Second Amendment being abused and torn apart by people who claim to advocate for gun ownership. And that's what I see potentially happening here. Every man, woman, and every individual on the face of this earth has a right to protect themselves, whether they're a citizen of this country or not. I know that this is not a popular opinion, but it is the right one, because we cannot say that our rights come from God and then deny those very same constitutional protections that protect the inalienable rights of all men just because a person happens not to be a citizen. I realize that this might even lose me some followers, but I'm okay with that because liberty needs to be preserved. And if you agree with me, please like this video, please share it, and help me get the word out because I'm not a Second Amendment sometimist. I'm an absolutist. And if it offends you, do the right thing. Buy another gun if you're concerned about your own right to protect yourself.